Everybody, welcome to Young Turks. We've got a fascinating interview for you guys today. I think you'll agree with me. It's Sydney Leathers. Now, she's, of course, famous for receiving some interesting pictures from, at the time, Congressman Anthony Weiner. Of course, he's resigned since. You might not know she was also a blogger for Indiana Progressive Liberals, and she was a field organizer for the Obama re-election campaign. And so, Sydney, great to have you on the Young Turks.
It's great to be here. I've been a big fan of yours for quite some time. I know you're not as big of a fan of me, but I'm hoping maybe I can change that a little.
Well, we're going to have a conversation and we're going to see where it goes, okay? So I'm looking forward to it. Look, a lot of the interviews I do with politicians or whoever, I kind of know where they're going. This, I don't know where it's going, so it could be fun, okay? So first of all, my question to you in the beginning was Sydney Leathers. Like, when this broke, like, Anthony Weiner used the ridiculous code name Carlos Danger, which, oh, that's so goofy. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Is Sydney Leathers your real name? Because it sounds like a stripper or a porn name.
It's really my name. I actually went and got a miniature copy of my birth certificate not that long ago, just to show people really my name.
Well, I'm going to need to see the long form, just to be sure.
We'll call Donald Trump, have him investigate.
Right, sure. So let's start at the beginning with Congressman Weiner. What was your first interaction with him?
My first interaction with him was after he resigned from Congress, the first time actually. I had been a big fan of his, obviously, as well, kind of had him on this pedestal. So I had sent him a Facebook message initially, just kind of saying that it was disappointing because he was someone I looked up to, and that was the first, instance of any kind of correspondence we would have had.
So after he resigned, so he already had the scandal, he resigns, then you guys actually talk for the first time on Facebook.
This is true. Yeah, a lot of people kind of lumped me in with the first scandal. I had no contact with him while he was in Congress whatsoever. It was all after he resigned.
Fascinating. So you already knew what Carlos Danger was up to?
I did.
Okay,
yes.
All right, that's interesting. So you reach out to him on Facebook. What does he do?
He actually didn't respond for about, I want to say, like 9 months. It was less than a year, but like getting close to that point. And then when he finally did message me, it started out very casual, like, I'm sorry I let you down, that type of stuff. And then he had poked me on Facebook, which led to a friend request. And then once he was on my friends list and could see all my pictures and, links that I would post about politics or things that I would write, he was like, you're really bright, you're really pretty, and just kind of started to butter me up from there.
Ah, okay, that's fun. So first of all, why did you, before we get to Carlos's reaction to you, why did you send a message to Anthony Weiner?
Like I said, I'm really passionate about politics, and I think, living in a really conservative area, it led me, I'm pretty liberal anyway, but then I was really interested in, like, the Alan Graysons and Anthony Weiners of the world. We definitely don't have that in Indiana. Mm-hmm. So I was intrigued by him, liked him as a politician, really liked when he'd get hyperbolic on the House floor. I just thought he was a great politician, and I was constantly singing his praises, and then the whole scandal happened, and I remember him trying to act like he was framed for that, and I was one of those people. I was like, there's no way he would be stupid enough to tweet his penis. Like, yeah, right, Andrew Breitbart's behind all of this, so,
yeah.
It kind of sucked then finding out that you're sticking up for this guy who was not telling the truth.
Well, I was right there with you. I thought there's no way that could be true, and I was wrong about that. So, okay, so you reach out to him, he pokes you back, which always sounds funny, and then he starts talking to you about how pretty you are. At that point, now you know that he sent dick pics before. He says you're pretty. You're at that time, what, 22, 23?
22.
Yeah, 22. Did you get a red flag there? Like, whoa, okay, are we about to enter the danger zone?
Yeah, he didn't use the Carlos Danger till a little later on, but I knew that he was flirting with me, but I didn't necessarily think he would be dumb enough to send penis pictures again. Okay, so
let's talk about the flirtation. So how many times did that go back and forth, and how racy did it get?
I feel like it got pretty racy pretty fast, so it didn't take long.
Okay, and now let's be honest, Sydney. How much did you reciprocate?
Oh yeah, I totally did. I totally played into it. The thing that confuses a lot of people too, they think that I just had this master plan the whole time, and it really wasn't like that at all. Embarrassingly enough, I actually did kind of develop feelings in the situation, and yeah, it just wasn't good. Wasn't smart on my part or his.
Okay, and at what point, you said it went pretty quickly, you guys are going back and forth, getting heated, right? At what point does he say, okay, this is the time, here's my penis?
He actually surprised me with it. I never asked for it ever. So it just kind of appeared in my inbox at one day. And then it kind of felt like a threat at one point too. He sent the first penis picture and then he goes, I took this specifically for you, so if it gets out there, I know you did it. I'm like, okay.
Okay,
great.
Well, yeah, I hear you on that. He's trying to cover his tracks in the worst possible way. So is the legend about him true? Is he as well endowed as people seem to indicate?
You know, I like to say that he wouldn't be so eager to show it off if it was small.
Yeah, and he might have saved himself a lot of trouble. So
very true. Maybe he would have been a better politician if he had a smaller penis.
Yeah, apparently so. So when you received it, were you like, whoa, or were you like,
Both.
Both. Interesting.
Both.
Did you send anything back to him, pictures?
Oh God, yeah. He probably has like a whole computer full of me naked. It's kind of embarrassing.
Oh, interesting. So obviously he gets to keep that. He still has it to this day unless he deleted it.
I highly doubt he deleted anything ever, and my friends always like to jokingly ask me how he hides the credit card charges from whom regarding my porn.
Yeah, I feel terrible for her, but
I
anyway.
do think he's one of those guys.
Yeah. So you sent him the full boat. This, that, and other thing.
Yeah, he's seen it all.
Okay. All
well,
right.
not the new stuff, but
right.
the old stuff.
Okay, but you guys never hooked up. It was just sending pictures back and forth.
Yeah, it was just, you know, sexting over the computer, phone, whatever.
All right, I'm going to get into a level of detail that is unnecessary here. When you say sexting, is that like in the middle of, you know, it's in the old days there used to be phone sex. I'm so old I don't know what sexting is.
Yeah,
is it like phone sex?
Yeah, it's like a verbal form, you know, or like just like a messaging form of that. But we did have phone sex too.
So like you get just one hand for one thing, the other hand for texting. Like I'm going to work, or you going to work, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to work. That type of stuff.
Yeah, except he didn't have a job and I did.
Right. No, I mean work on yourself.
Right. No, I'm giving him all the time perfectly. No, part of the weirdness of it, well, all of it was weird, but there would be times where I actually was doing stuff, but other times I would just say what he wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, Sydney, like, you know he got into trouble before on this. Now you're in the middle of it with him. Are you loving it? Are you nervous? Okay, be honest. What was your real feelings there?
In the beginning, it was really fun, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. I have this secret, and it's someone that I really, you know, think is just amazing. Ugh, it's so gross the way I felt. And then as time went on, he got a little more possessive of like my time, and he didn't like it if I wasn't available to him pretty much whenever he was ready for me. And I kind of started to alienate my friends. Things got weird. I actually started seeing a psychiatrist during that time because I was having issues with the whole situation, which is not something I've been super open about in the past, but why not?
Okay, all right. Well, we're having an honest conversation here. So, like, when you say he needed your time, like, so you're out, you could be drinking or you could be going to school or work or whatever, and he's like, dude, we got to sext right now. Is that?
Yeah, he would get mad at me if he would call me and I would maybe be driving and didn't hear my phone ring, or, you know, whatever, out with a friend, didn't answer my phone. He would get annoyed with me for sure.
All right,
and
so
he would act very childish and like passive aggressive about stuff.
Right. So Sydney, you've seen some of the videos we did when the story broke, right? And so
yeah,
you know I was critical of you, and the reason I was critical of you is because it seemed like after the whole story broke, you played it like you were a victim, right? And I just couldn't believe that. Based on what I had seen already, and based on this conversation too, it seemed like you were a total, massive, willing participant. So I didn't understand why you were painting like, oh no, oh woe is me. Like I didn't. So help me understand that.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is part of the reason why I really wanted to talk with you, is so you could see my side a little bit more. I didn't necessarily think of myself as a victim by any means, and I was a willing participant in the whole sexting thing. I think where I had problems is where, I was younger and got emotions involved, and I think my feelings were hurt more than I was allowing myself to kind of admit to people. I was definitely feeling it a little more than I was saying. And I think also, there are a lot of misconceptions about how everything came out in the press and that I really wanted it to be this way. And in reality, I broke the story on thedirty.com. I spoke with Nick Ritchie about this many times before he released anything. And I just flat out told him, I don't think I can handle this. I don't want to go forward unless I feel like I can stay anonymous. And yeah, that was really naive of me in hindsight. But I truly didn't think I could handle it. I had my mindset on going back to school and, kind of getting my life together. And I had been really, really severely depressed at the time. And I think that was a big part of why I thought, oh my God, I can't handle, pressure from the media or whatever. Like, I don't want to be scrutinized. I already felt really bad about myself at the time. So I thought I would just have a nervous breakdown. I didn't think I could handle it.
Right. Well, look, I can understand. I can understand a part of the relationship issue where, you feel like, okay, he's a little older and I got my feelings wrapped up in this. But on the other hand, older guys and younger women have had relationships for time immemorial. And yes, there's a little bit of a different power dynamic there. But,
I'm not blaming by any means. I should have seen it for what it was, but I got wrapped up in the situation.
Right. And so my point is that it's not any different, I think, because he's a congressman or famous or anything like that. It's just the same kind of, hurt feelings you would have had if you were dating another guy and you wound up, breaking up, etc. Okay. All right. Now, but Sydney, that leads into the second criticism that I had of you, which is that it appeared to the naked eye that you didn't mind the spotlight. Like you're saying here, I understand what you're saying, like, oh, well, it's tough to handle the spotlight, which is absolutely true. But then you sought it out significantly because apparently Anthony Weiner had interactions like this with several women, right? But we know mainly about you because you went and did the naked pictures and then you did the porn and then you basically went uninvited to his election night, headquarters when he came in fifth. So doesn't it seem like you didn't mind the attention?
Yeah, totally. Basically what happened for me was I was in that spot where I was like, oh my God, I can't handle this. There's no way. And then almost immediately BuzzFeed out to me. So at that point, I really was, I had a full-blown panic attack, locked myself in my apartment, didn't want to leave. But it's like once you're outed, I kind of felt like I already knew people were going to start talking about me. And I kind of felt like I wanted to speak for myself. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
But okay, so talk to me about how it snowballed. All right, so you're out there now, and people know you after BuzzFeed reveals who you are. But that's a big jump from there to naked pictures with Vivid and kind of a naked video, and then a slightly bigger jump to porn. How did that happen?
Well, we got the offer from Vivid had approached my manager, I believe, is how it happened initially, and I said no to the sex tape at first. So they gave me the opportunity to do like kind of a Playboy style photo shoot, just I guess to get me more comfortable. So I did the photo shoot, actually had a really good time, really liked most of the photos that came out, and I guess that was just like my stepping stone into porn.
Yeah, so, those photo shoots are always a gateway drug to porn. So let me again continue in our frank conversation here. How much did they pay you for the first set of pictures?
I'd rather not go into detail, but enough that I was willing to get naked.
All right. Okay. At least in public. Obviously, you didn't mind getting naked in other circumstances, as many people do, obviously, right? So, and can you share with us how much the porn was or how much more it was than the pictures?
I will say that it was significantly more than the pictures, definitely. And I would hope so, considering, that's a big leap from just being nude to actually having sex on camera.
Right. So was it worth it now that you've had some time, between when you did the porn and today? Do you feel like you'd do it again?
The porn, yeah, I would definitely do it again. It's funny. I don't have any regrets about that. The things that I have a really hard time with and I'm still dealing with in therapy are, kind of issues of guilt. People think that I set him up in this major way and had this plan all along. But in reality, I actually did have feelings for him. And I do have days where it sucks for me. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to be seen. It's like you feel like you betrayed someone's trust who, you really cared about. It's just this whole mind fuck, excuse my language, but it's hard.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, if I could psychoanalyze you for a second, here's my interpretation. You're not Dr. Evil. You didn't have a plan ahead of time to do any of this, right? And you stumbled into it. But, and these are normal motivations, I get it, but you didn't mind the spotlight. And so you kind of subconsciously wound up, getting exposed. And then when you got exposed, there was a lot of offers, and you didn't mind the spotlight and you didn't mind the money. And then all of a sudden, here you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. The money was a huge motivating factor. Obviously, it would be to anyone, I think.
So how many years don't you have to work because of the money that you got from the sex tapes?
That's what's funny. I still want to work. I still want to go back to school. I want to, do something with myself. I don't want to, obviously this is going to follow me around forever. And anytime anyone Googles me, they're going to find it. I've even thought, well, maybe when I'm done with all of this, I'll change my name. I'm not really sure what the future holds, but I do know that this isn't my life forever. I'm not that delusional.
You would be the first person ever to go from a stripper name to a normal name. So
I know, isn't that bizarre?
Okay, so if you went back to school, what would you study?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I was really into political science and broadcasting before. I don't know if I would want to stick with that route or, do something else. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what my options are considering my unusual circumstances.
Right. And have you been going out with other guys since?
No. Dating is like weird anyway. And then with all of this, it's just like I don't even want to think about it.
So, okay, you're not dating. Have you been sexting since or no?
No, I think I've learned my lesson for now, at least.
Was Weiner the first and the only one, or had you done that in the past with other people?
No, I'd done that in the past with other people, but never to that extent where it consumed my life and I started losing friends and I quit my job and, it just got to a point where it was really ridiculous. I've never been that involved with anyone.
Well, you're knee deep in it when you have to quit your job to continue sexting.
Well, he asked me to. So yeah, I would have done anything he asked at that point.
So okay, so let me understand that psychology a little bit better. When did he switch his name to Carlos Danger?
He only made that name up so he could send the penis pictures, actually, because he didn't want to send them through his personal Facebook account.
Okay, so he said, all right, you're going to get some pictures from Carlos. You're going to want to open them up.
He didn't even warn me. He made the email address, and I think he sent me some sex or whatever through it, and then the pictures came. It was strange.
So that's interesting. I haven't had an affair, but if I did, I would imagine that I would want it to be as low-key as possible and be able to, distance yourself from it as quickly as possible. But he seemed to have gone in the other direction. Why in the world did he want you to quit your job and therefore be more attached to him?
I don't really know. I think, I'm obviously not a psychiatrist or psychologist or anything, but, I do wonder if there's, maybe some underlying sex addiction, something of that nature, at least impulse control issues. I don't know.
What do you think of him today?
I don't wish him any ill will. I truly don't. Like I said, it depends on the day how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'm like, I told the truth. So in that aspect, I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. But on the other hand, I have days where I'm like, oh my God, how must he feel about me? I'm sure he wishes I'd go get hit by a bus, and that I feel really bad for betraying his trust in that way. I just like this constant back and forth battle. Like I said, working out in therapy, but
right.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Do you think that if you didn't come forward, no one else came forward, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, that he might have actually won the race for mayor in New York?
Actually, yeah, I do think he would have won.
So how do you feel about that? I know you said you feel partly guilty. Do you also then feel partly justified? I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what's confusing for me. It's like he was lying to the voters, and I did tell the truth. But like I said, on the other hand, you do have the days where you're like, this was someone that I was close to and cared about, so it does make me feel guilty. But then again, if someone is spending, the majority of their day, masturbating on the internet with a stranger, do they really need to be mayor of New York City? It doesn't really seem like they have the time.
Well, that I don't mind as much. The mayor, I suppose the mayor has to masturbate too. I don't know, right? But he was married, so that was obviously an issue, and there was an issue of trust. Although, we say politicians, he lied so people don't trust him, but all politicians lie. They lie endlessly.
It's true. They're all liars, pretty much. Yeah.
Right, and most of them lie about money and how it influences them, which is far worse. But
that's true.
But
yeah, and I do have, and another thing that I have an issue with is that, I've always felt like a little bit of a libertarian when it came to sexual stuff. So then it does make me feel shitty to feel like, okay, well, I judged him for something that I was doing myself. Yes, I'm not married and I wasn't running for office, but it wasn't a fun situation for me to realize that I was kind of discovering my sexuality in a way by shaming someone for theirs. And I do get the hypocrisy there. I really, really do. And that bothers me.
No, but Sydney, that's why I really enjoyed this conversation, because you're being really honest here, and I appreciate that. And you're right.
I really wanted to be candid with you.
What's that?
I really wanted to be candid with you.
Yeah.
In this interview.
And look, that to me, in my mind, that mitigates things a lot. Like, if you get that there was the issues there and you're struggling with those issues, that's good to hear. Along those lines, one last thing about that. Like, what on the night that he lost, he came in 5th. You showed up at the headquarters there. Why did you do that, Sydney?
I'm not going to lie. A lot of people wanted me to do it. I wanted to do it as well, but I was also encouraged. It was an interesting night. I thought it was really hilarious in the moment. And then this is another thing I've actually never really admitted to. I got back to my hotel room that night, and that was the first time I had actually cried throughout the entire situation. I felt some guilt. I did. A part of it was because, his wife wasn't there, but then as I was leaving, someone told me his mother had been there, and I was like, oh my God, like, why did I do that? I did feel pretty guilty about that one.
All right, that's really interesting. Okay, so then finally, let's talk about the future, right? Funny question, would you ever date a politician?
Of course I would. That's like my Achilles heel.
So if, I don't want to name any names. Oh, well, Steve Cohen's single. He's one of the most progressive guys in Tennessee, in the country. He's from Tennessee. And I don't say that he would date you or you would date him, but he's a liberal and he's single, so that's why I picked his name out of a hat. So somebody... What's that?
He should call me.
He should call you. Okay, all right. He also had tweeting issues. He got in trouble for tweeting with someone they thought was his mistress, or not mistress because he's not married, but that he was having a relationship with in the middle of the State of the Union. It turned out to be his daughter, who then later turned out not to be his daughter, but he thought it was his daughter. Anyway, so...
That is very confusing.
I know, I know. But you guys would have a lot to commiserate about. I didn't mean to get Steve Cohen in trouble there. But okay, you're open to it. Interesting. Okay. What kind of guy...
I also think Daryl Issa is kind of adorable, even though he's a despicable Republican.
Who is?
Daryl Issa.
Oh, please don't date Daryl Issa. Don't do that.
I could ruin life, right? Don't you want that?
Well, okay, that's a fair point, and he's probably susceptible to that. And you would think that, people wouldn't get into trouble like that again, but they're politicians. They never learn. They never learn.
No, they don't learn. They think they can keep their secrets forever because they're more powerful than everyone else.
So would you ever send naked pictures again to a guy? Just forget famous, not famous politician or not. Or did you get so burned by that experience that you wouldn't do it again?
It's not something I would do easily. I can say that. I think it would have to be someone I was either like seriously dating or someone I really, really trusted. But we all know sometimes we don't always trust the best people. Right.
And look, the other part of it is that obviously they could acquire those pictures anyway because you have the movies out there. So that changes the equation a little bit. So Sydney, along those lines, finally, if there was enough money, et cetera, would you consider doing that again?
What, the whole situation?
No. I mean the porn.
Yeah. I don't have any immediate plans to do another porn in the future, but it's something that I would consider. I'm keeping my options open, I guess. My feeling on it is I've already done one. I don't think if I decided to do two that would ruin my life. You know what I mean? So.
Right. If they came to you and offered you a lot of money for you and Monica Lewinsky in lesbian porn, would you do it?
Only if it was a hotter fake Monica. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. That was harsh. Okay. So you're also open to that. That's interesting. Okay.
I am. So or even like a Puma and Hillary porn. I've thought of that. Don't think I'm not thinking.
Oh, wow. Okay. So if Bill Clinton came up to you and wanted to have an affair with you, would you do it?
Yes, and I would never tell a soul. I would take it to my grave. There are certain people that I would keep secrets for.
All right, one last one then along those lines. Barack Obama comes up and wants to have an affair with you. Would you do it?
Not a sitting president. No, thank you. I have too much respect for whoever holds that office, as corny as it sounds, but I truly do. So.
Wow, that is weirdly corny. Okay. Okay.
My dad was a military man, so I was kind of raised with that mindset. No matter who's in office, you need to be like kind and respectful. Even when I didn't like Bush, I wasn't allowed to like say crazy things about Bush.
Wow. Okay. Fascinating. I wouldn't have guessed that. All right. One last thing is that I know that you're doing some advocacy now because of what happened in the porn. So tell people about that and let's get the word out about that. So what happened in the porn that caused you a little bit of concern?
Yeah. That was definitely one of the scariest situations of my life. Obviously, I was not well versed in anything regarding the adult industry before entering. I had no experience. But I knew that I had been tested and that the guy I was sleeping with had been tested. I didn't know about all these moratoriums and all of these things. And then shortly after my film was released, there's a moratorium. A few people had tested positive for HIV. One of them being someone that had actually filmed with the guy that I had filmed with. So that was really traumatic for me. Even though we had been tested before and after filming and we were fine, and even since then, 6 months later, we're fine, it still was like completely horrifying. And I think that for me showed me the worst side of humanity, because even now I'll get tweets sometimes where people are like, you deserve to die in agony from your AIDS. It's karma for what you did to Anthony. Like, I get the most bizarre stuff on Twitter. You would not even believe it. No, it's like the worst. It's like the worst of a Reddit thread. If you,
right.
You just think of that.
Believe me, I would believe it. Okay, I've been online, so I would believe it. All right, and then, so are you now doing advocacy for safe sex?
I have this is another one of the many things I'm having a hard time with. It's because, it's easy to say that, yeah, sure, Measure B should be enacted. Well, it is, and people are still filming, regardless without condoms. It's an issue where I feel like it should be a performer's choice, but I also feel like companies, I don't want to say that any companies are saying don't use condoms, but I do know that a lot of people like to see porn without condoms. So there is an issue there. I don't want companies pressuring performers into not using condoms. I want people to be able to make their own decisions about their sexuality, basically, is my whole thing.
All right. And from time to time, now that we're done with that, do you get texts or tweets from people saying, hey, I know you're Sydney Leathers, and I'd like to, send you my own pictures, etc.? Does that happen online?
Oh, yeah. I get everything from, like, white supremacist death threats to, like, I want to marry you and impregnate you. Like, the craziest group of people. You have no idea. Like, I have this one guy who consistently, he'll make Twitter accounts to send me death threats, and then I'll get it deleted, and then he'll make another one. He's told me I should be set on fire, stabbed, shot, my pet should be killed, my mom should be shot. Like, he's nuts. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, I can't figure out the white supremacist angle, because Anthony Weiner is Jewish, so that, but you, if anything, wouldn't they be happy that you helped to end his career?
Oh, they say that I'm a Jew fucker, so even though I didn't have sex with him. So
it's hard to figure out the hard to figure out the white supremacist. All right, Sydney Leathers, in a fascinating conversation here on the Young Turks. We really appreciate that you came on and you know, and cleared the record. And I appreciated your honesty in this interview. So thanks for doing it, Sydney.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we got to talk and you know that I'm a real person, not a sociopathic bitch.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.